Look at that. It's recording now. How are you, everybody? Steve?
Yeah, thanks. Yeah.
Man, we got a full house today, so great. So today we are going to be going over the site. I'm glad I held off a week. It gave me a chance to really think through what I want this site to look like and how do I make it so that it's as easy as possible for you all to put it to use. So why don't we just jump right in? So I'm going to share my screen here. And okay, so we're going to get our hands dirty jumping into the technology. That's the agenda. And before I do that, I do want to kind of review what it was we covered last time, which is what are the 4 different parts of the site, because once, I want to make sure you all have those, because that's where we're going to be going in and making changes to the site so it's customized for each of your individual needs. So I'm going to bring up, I got like 6 different windows here, sorry. Okay, so here is the site. Now, I know that all of you don't want my picture on the site. I've purposely put my picture everywhere so that no one forgets to make the changes because it's customized to me, but you'll see that it's in very specific places. So here we have the first part here. If I go, we have the login, log out, and forgot password. So this is our login page. Here, this is a link back to like the main site. So that would be a link back to like www.larryjacob.com in my case. We have your forgot your password page. And so this one here, you fill this out, it emails you your credentials. That's the standard feature for the site so that people can get back in if they get locked out. You got this little remember me. That will extend for a couple weeks how long people stay logged into the site so that they don't have to log in again and again and again. So I'm going to log in now as a user that has access. So I'm calling this course with LearnDash. And so it's a very simple dashboard. Now, this could be bypassed where you could just land right on the first page of the site of your course, but I kind of like the idea of having kind of a home base where people can go to for this. And, with some simple Fiverr artwork, you can have like a logo or some sort of, image that represents your course. And then you got, the start here. Now in here, so this is our dashboard. So to cover, this port right here, along with a menu, which could be omitted. And I'm going to provide instructions on how to delete those, because the dashboard is really all you need if you have one course. If you had multiples of these, then this drop-down would get bigger, and then there'd be more options in here. But all these are pretty framed, images along with a course name and a Start Here button, to give people some sort of orientation. And I just threw in a resource page if you want to use it. If you don't want to use it, that's fine. It's just blank. So then the other part, we covered the menu, and then there's your course content. So the course content starts next. And this is a LearnDash environment. So, what do we have? We have the same name of the course that we had at the beginning. I'll be removing this. This is a standard LearnDash message when you haven't started a course yet. And then lesson 1 and lesson 2. Now, this can be extended. Not only can you add additional modules, but you can add sub-modules. So in LearnDash, it's course, lessons, and topics. So this would then be a menu that could be extended like a tree, made bigger and smaller, as people go there. And then, there's always return to the course. Now, I've just thrown in some bogus content, video with copy. LearnDash gives you navigation at the bottom as well as in the sidebar. If you dip into a lesson, it gives you this return link. And then there's a mark complete if you want it enabled. I'm going to turn those all off with the assumption that we're only going to have courses that open up all at one time. But LearnDash does give you the ability to create, progress bars and to keep people from going to lesson 2 until they finish lesson 1. And you can add quizzes as well. So I'm going to, I want to say dumb it down so that you have a place where people can go and get immediate access to the content. So those are the 4 different components that we have to consider. Any questions so far?
Yeah, George, just one quick question. I didn't see anywhere where you could change the password, and I note on the app you've given us to your site, we don't have the ability to change the password. Is that something that you've done deliberately? Is it a feature we should consider adding? What's your thoughts on that?
I can add a My Profile page or a My Account page where people can update their password. It would also be a place where people can update, their name, company name, phone number. I hesitate to allow people to change their email address because if they change their email address, it changes their login. But that's actually a nice option. I'll come up and I'll add a My Profile. I'll tell you what. I'll respond to that in the Facebook group because the other thing too is that assumes that you're on Infusionsoft. So let me see exactly what the implications are before I commit to that.
Jorge?
Yeah, Elizabeth, what's up?
If you delete something, can you get it back? If, like, say, you delete something by accident or decide you don't want something, and can you get it back later?
How do you mean that?
Let's say somebody doesn't want they just want the current course and not the dashboard, not the current program or something. Like,
right, you probably don't want to delete anything. What you want to do is maybe unhinge them from the menu. Because for example, this is a menu entry, but I can take it off without deleting the menu.
And how customizable? I mean, that yellow line running down the page, is that going to be on every one of ours, or can we change the colors?
Where's yellow?
Okay, it's a different thing. Never mind.
I purposely made this black, white, and gray so that, adjusting the colors. I mean, if you want to get fancy, knock yourself out, but I didn't want you to be committed to the Larry Jacob yellow and black color.
Okay, thanks.
Okay. Yeah. So that being the case, let's kind of dig in here and see exactly what you need to do once this is in here. So I'm going to look at our site. So here is the membership site that we've been working to date. And we're at week number 5, which is how do I assemble all this? And I've included in here Breakthrough Membership Site Guide. I purposely call it a draft because it definitely is a draft. It's not final, but I am including in here a lot of information that will also be going over here in the course, on the video. So we'll have the video, going through this, and then we'll also have the, this, which is kind of like some how-to. So we're going to install this in your environment. So in the piece here, these are the pieces of information I need from all of you. I know some of you have already sent this to me, but these are the things that we need so that we can push it right into your account. We're going to be overwriting whatever is there. So I know some people were saying, oh, I've already got Memberium and LearnDash installed. Well, it's like, that's great. We're going to overwrite it so that you're starting with this as your template. So if you don't want us to install it at the address where you have something, let's pick another location for it.
Hey, George?
Oh, Sue. Yeah, what's up?
So So Memberium is an option for the people in the course, is that correct? Or is it something we're all going to have?
It is. Not everybody has it though.
Okay. So like I have it, on my account. So how, I don't understand you overriding the Memberium that I would have.
Right.
I mean,
So this is so you've got your I'm sorry, what did you say?
I said it's just in skeleton form. There's not a bunch of content in it. It's just basically been installed, and that's where it was. And of course, we're going to move everything in the discussion we had over to the hosting server. So, but I would want it under. I mean, I guess I'm wondering about the ongoing costs to your company for a Memberium fee or a Thrive theme fee. Is that going to be a monthly fee to your company?
Okay. Maybe the next thing I have in here is the licensing. So I think this may answer that question.
Okay.
So we're going to come up with, like, let's say in your case, this is going to be your members.eek.ineedageek.com, right?
Well, no, it's going to be successwithis.com.
Oh, right. Okay, so it's at that location. Do you already have a website there?
Yeah, that's what I was emailing you about over the weekend. It's gotten corrupt.
Okay, so we'll talk about that. But we're going to install a clean version of this site there so that we can add content to it.
Right. There was no content in it. It was
right. So we're starting with this now. The site is licensed for Thrive themes, which includes the Thrive Architect. That's the editor. So I'm using I have an agency license, and I've installed that as part of, installing it for you. Now, Memberium is going to be installed with a test license. So that will allow you to use it indefinitely for 20 users. The minute you go to the 21st user, the site stops working and it basically gives up an error message.
No, because I have access to Memberium. How does that fit in?
Right. So for those of you who don't have a Memberium license, if you don't mind using my my link here, it's my affiliate link, that'd be nice. If you already have it, you need to send an email to support and tell them this is the URL that I want my membership site to be licensed for. And they respond really quickly. It's like, once they identify who you are, then they'll go, oh, that license that's over here, we're going to point it here.
We'll probably have to talk offline about it because of the switch of hosting services.
Right. So, but you never really log into Memberium ever again. You send support tickets, and they answer them. So the login is interesting, but I'm rarely in there. So you go to support, and it's like, hey, you remember this license that I bought, and it's currently at this domain. I need it to be supported on this domain.
Well, it's the same domain. It's already supported on the domain that I'm going to use.
Oh, okay. So then you'll be fine. Jim, I'm sorry.
Hey, George. I heard you mention something about going over 20 users and receiving an error message. Could you just speak to that again?
Right. So Memberium will give you a free license so that you can test it, right? So as you start selling more memberships, now you've got 10, 15 members, and Memberium is saying, hey, if you've only want to ever have 15 people logged into your site, you're good. But if you cross over 20, you better have a license because the site will stop working.
Okay, so just hopefully I'm not getting ahead of you in this, but are there different licensing levels? Let's say 100, 1,000.
It's either they do it per domain. So
okay.
You either get the regular, I think it's the standard, and then the pro gives you multiple domains.
What I'm trying to determine is that once you have a license, you will not be shut down under any circumstances?
No, you should be fine. You could have thousands of people logged in.
Thousands? Okay, great. Thank you. That was all I was concerned about.
It's not measured based on the number of users. It's just that keeps people, people like us can start working on it. We test the site, and we usually get the license right before we launch it because there's no sense in people starting to pay, the licensing fee before the site's really launched.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, and then LearnDash is installed, but it's not licensed. So it's in there, it's working. You do need to go and enter the licensing keys. When you buy it, they will send you the instructions for it. At the beginning of the year, they bumped their prices up a little bit. It used to be $129. I think it's $159 now. And that's for, I think the license is indefinite, but support is only good for a year. So
you gotta renew the license annually.
okay, so it is $129 a year or $159. I don't know if the renewals are the same prices as they are at the beginning.
Yeah, so I have a couple questions. Basically, you're migrating an image, like your own WordPress site, into our domain, right? Into our URL.
Right. We're doing a backup buddy restore onto your site.
Okay. Are you familiar at all with Memberium for ActiveCampaign? Because I got it when they were in beta.
I'm not overly familiar with it. I mean, I know how it works. The support guys can help us if there's something a little fishy going on.
Because it was originally a free license.
Okay.
I don't know what the restrictions are, but I don't think there's any restrictions on it.
No. If you were in at the very beginning, you're good. As a matter of fact, I remember they had a promotion saying, hey, you need to get it before a certain date, and then you're licensed forever at no charge. But after that, they could do whatever they want.
Right. My other question is shopping cart. I know with Infusionsoft, obviously, you have the e-commerce portion already in there. What do you suggest? Because I looked at different options, and it seems like maybe WooCommerce might be the one to go with, because there is an integration between WooCommerce and ActiveCampaign where you can send it to an automation, and then the automation creates the tags and all this stuff.
Right. I think ThriveCart is an option I've heard people say works well in that environment.
Yeah, just since in beta right now, I don't want to spend the money to get. Right. It's a bit pricey. It's a great option, but it's pricey. And you had mentioned something about WooCommerce. Just wondering what your experience was with that. Maybe we can take this offline. I don't know.
Yeah. Let's take that offline. We'll discuss it. Either let's have a call or let's chat on Facebook in the group. Cool. Okay, so that's the licensing of the platform. So then we've got to go in and we've got to customize the course. And these are really the 5 things that we need to do. As much as I love my logo, I'm sure you don't want it on your site. So we've got to change the logo. We've got to change the copyright message. We've got to change the site login page image. And I'll show you where that is. That's the one of me going like this. And then you've got the course name and then the favicon. So the favicon is this little thing up here, if you see my mouse. Okay. So why don't we jump in and get started doing this? So I'll put the link in here of the sample site so you guys can get to it, and I will give you a sample not admin login, so you can log in and log out. So I am going to bring over my admin logged in version here. So here we have it. So I'm logged in as the administrator. And if we go over to wherever I have these instructions, there they are. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is we are going to change the site logo. Now the site logo is easy to find. It is over in the Thrive dashboard theme options. And it's right here. Okay? So you would go, you remove this one, and then you just upload the one that you want. Now, just in the interest of time, I came up and I just grabbed the YouTube logo. And then since I'm here, here is YouTube company. So, that's what you need to do. So if you go down to the bottom and you save that, then I can go over here, refresh the site. So now I'm logged in as the user, and I got the YouTube company down here, and I've got the YouTube logo over here. In the document, I tell you what the sizes should be. This should be about 200 to 60 pixels. Just play around with it. it will, like if you put a logo in there that's like 800, it won't like destroy the page, but that will have a slow download speed. So, just be careful how big you make it. Okay. Now we have okay, so let me get my windows clear here. I am going to log out as a user, and I want to change this image right here. Now, another option would be just to center this login page without an image here. I'm kind of biased towards this. Here's a chance for you to just deliver a message every time. It's a good branding place. If you look at the way Infusionsoft does it, when you arrive, they're always trying to put a commercial next to it of something you want people to do. So, you can take advantage of that. So in order to change that, for that, we have to go to that page specifically. Now, I give instructions in here on how to get access to that page via the menus. What I typically find is easiest, well, not with this page because it's the login page. So we're going to go to the login page. So we're here on all pages. This is the page called Login, and you want to jump in here with the Thrive editor. So the Thrive editor, I included in here a link somewhere in here to the tutorial that they provide you. It's actually really good. It's got an initial quick start video, and then it's got over a dozen videos on different aspects of it. You don't have to go through all of them, but I would recommend, if you've never used the Thrive Architect, that you just familiarize yourself with it, because once you figure out how it works, it's got this left sidebar with all the details. Once you figure that out, everything is smooth sailing, but the first time in might be a little disoriented, even if you're familiar with WordPress. It's just the first time you use it. So that would be my recommendation to you. So back to, so I'm going to click outside, and you got to click on the image. And I want you to notice that there are different little boxes. So these are actually 2 columns. So you always have to make sure that you're on the item that is of interest, and that the word over here and the word over here are the ones you're on. So we want to modify the image. So then changing the image is pretty straightforward. You can upload a new file. I'm just going to jump in here and grab the YouTube thing. Now so there's then things that you can do, and this is where, I'd recommend you, look at the documentation, but, I can make the image bigger, I can make it smaller. There's some common stuff that, you would think, and everything is available here on the side once you're clicking on the right item. And I stress that because if you're not clicking on the right item, you might kind of go, why can't I find the thing I want? And that's why. And then you always have to save things. It doesn't self-save. So now I'll do a refresh here. And so now the site starts looking less like Larry Jacob and more like the YouTube theme that we're going with now. So that's the first couple. So if I go into the next step, so we've got to go footer, the image. Okay, so now we got to change the course name. And we're changing the course name in several places. It's on the dashboard, it's on the menu, and then it's also in the sidebar. So it's in 3 different places. So if I go over to, we first want to change it on the dashboard. I started to say this before on the login. The login page, because it's not available when you're logged in, you can't go to it and edit it. But the dashboard, you can. So I'm going to go to the site. Now I'm logged in as an admin, and I'm going to go to the dashboard page, which is this one. And now I can grab the Thrive editor up here, which is usually where you find it. Now here, I mean, you just type in whatever the name of the course is. So this is a text field, and it's one of those where you're just typing in there. If you want to change the font or anything, you can here on the side. But I mean, it's as simple as that. Just type in there what you want. Since I'm on here, here's one of the things that sometimes confuses people with this editor. You notice here that I have the text and then I have the button. So if I want to change start here and I try to type, as you can hear, nothing's happening because I'm not on that. Once I'm in the inbox, then it does allow me to edit just like I could edit up here. So these buttons have like two parts to them. Now, what drove me crazy the first time I started using this was where the heck is the place where the button takes you, and I couldn't for the life of me find it. So you have to actually click to the button part of it, and then don't change it there, as tempting as it might be. You have to change it at the bottom. Those are probably the couple of tricks that'll really kind of stop you. I mean, I'm not recommending you change these buttons much, but just keep in mind that there are two things here, and both of them have properties, and this button link is really modified down here. It will allow you not only to connect to a link page, but it'll also allow you to do pop-ups. The Thrive theme that we've installed has light boxes. It has a lot of cool things that other systems require, like an additional plugin. So you can even have, those things that are called exit response pop-ups, so that if you try to leave, it actually gives you one of those wait, don't go sort of things. So, I mean, it's getting a little more advanced, and we're not doing, exit response tactics usually inside of a membership site, but I just thought I'd point that out. So that's where that part of the course gets changed. The second part of the course is in the menu bar. Now, like I mentioned before, you might consider not even having this menu because all you really need is the dashboard. You've only got one course. So you don't necessarily have to have these. And I will point out that I do have this second menu in here. So let me visit the site again, just so that you can see what's in here. So the site has the course with LearnDash, and what I did is I included a site course without LearnDash, and it's the exact same course I have in LearnDash, but this one follows the format I use on my membership site. It's outside of the scope of this course. If you want to kind of play with it, feel free to do that, but that's why there's this second menu item here. So advanced topics, I want to say. Chris, what's up?
Just a quick question. You said it's outside of LearnDash. Does that mean that you've created pages within Thrive, which are, if you like, information pages, one follows the other as if it were a course? You've just not used the LearnDash for it. Is that what you're saying?
Correct. These are pages, as you can see up here at the top. So this doesn't use LearnDash. If you want to use that, there are some benefits to it if you want to get a little more creative with how you organize your pages and things. There's more things that you can do. However, you've got to maintain the hierarchy of the class. LearnDash takes care of all that for you, as well as the menus. So I'm not providing instructions on that. I think my plan is in the future, I'll have like a second set of additional documentation for people who want to use that. But both courses are there. It's just that this is the only one that's accessible from the LearnDash one is the one that's accessible from the dashboard.
Okay, and in what circumstances would you not use LearnDash for a course?
In a lot of cases, it's personal preference. You know, for example, if you don't like the menus down here at the bottom, you know, 6 one, half dozen another. I've been using this format for a while, and I didn't gut it out of the install.
George, are you using that new plugin that Thrive came up with? Like, I forget what they call it.
No, the Apprentice. I am not.
Oh, so this is just, you just literally building the menus on the left-hand side?
Yeah, this is just a manually built menu. And I'm probably sidetracking. I shouldn't have gotten into this, but the reason I'm bringing it up is because it is in the menu and I want to show you how to move that. So I'm going to go into the menu section. So I'll go over here and I'll go to menus. And there are several menus in here. As a matter of fact, now that I see them, I've got to delete a few of these. So this is the one we need to care about. And then this is the menu for without LearnDash. So we just have to make sure that that one's selected. So here is the menu. If you want to change the name of this, you know, there it is. You change the navigation label. Okay. And if you wanted to get rid of this, it's as easy as just hitting, you know, click and then remove, and it's gone. Okay. So these are all, you know, reorganizable and things. For those of you that use WordPress, this is, you know, standard function. So that's where you change the name there. The last place to change them is on the sidebar, which is what is viewed, what is shown here. So for that, we have to go to the widget. So that'll be widgets. And it's the page sidebar is used with the other course. This is the one that's used with LearnDash. So if you open this up, you change the name there, and that will modify the name that appears here. And then, you know, for those of you that aren't as familiar with this, I'm giving you the visuals, but I'm also giving you the step-by-step here. So, you know, for the course sidebar, visit the WordPress menu, select Appearance Widgets, select the main sidebar, and open up the text widget. So that's the instructions, main sidebar, open up the text widget, and then change the title. Here, I'll make this another step. And why did it do that? Oh, this is a PDF. I can't change it. Change the title to the title of the course. So there you go. So those are the places where the course appears, where the course name appears. So the next step, if I can find the right page. Okay, the favicon. Now the favicon right now is this letter L. If you do not install a favicon, you're going to get the default WordPress one, which might be fine. In order to get this to work, you have to create some, like you see this one, everybody creates like their own custom one. You know, here for, this is my Asana tab, and it's got the 3 little dots that goes with their logo. So you need to create a 512 by 512 image. You know, have an artist build that for you or goof around. The thing is, it's got to be something that looks decent when you shrink it down this small. Elizabeth?
Can it be the same as your logo?
It can be, but for example, in my case, if I put Larry Jacob, it would be so microscopic you wouldn't be able to read it.
Right, but my logo is like a dove with a pen in its mouth. So
yeah, so something like that is what you'd want. So as long as it's, you know, you got to kind of experiment with it. People who build favicons, and I'm not a graphic artist, kind of have a fling for this. This is probably something you can go to Fiverr and have someone do for you.
okay.
So where is that? So that is, oh gosh, I have too many windows open here. Here we go. Okay, so this one is in the Thrive dashboard theme option. And we have to look this up under, I have to look this one up in the instructions. I lied. It's under Appearance Customize. That's why I couldn't find it. So it's under Appearance Customize. and then it's under site identity. So in here, this is the name of the site. This is the tagline. So this is where you would go to change it. So you remove it and then you change the image and it takes you to the media library where you bring in an image from the outside that you store in the media library. And that's how this gets set. Now that I'm here, I also want to point out when I mouse over, you notice when I mouse over here, I get this pop-up which shows me what all is in here. So whatever you put in here is what shows up after that, that pipe signed, okay? And then this is the tagline for the site. I forget where that shows up, but you probably want to change that as well. Matter of fact, this one might not show up. This one does because it shows up right there. So here's a chance for you to modify, what's said there.
Yeah, that shows up when you're in Google.
Oh, you're right. That's where it shows up. It's in search results.
Yep.
So you definitely want to change that. I'll write myself a note to include that in things to change. So at that point, you've got the site now adjusted to you and your business and your course. So now we got to get to the fun stuff. Let's start adding content. Now, I see Sue making kind of a smirk, meaning she's got to work on content, but we'll get to that. So here's what we now want to do. I want to go over LearnDash at a high level because once you understand how it works, it's actually very easy to modify. Much more so than the other one that I have, which requires that you create pages and you link things together and then you create a navigation bar. That's why I selected LearnDash because it really takes care of a lot of the details for you. So I'm going to jump in here as an administrator and I'm going to go down here to the bottom to the LearnDash LMS menu item. Now, LearnDash organizes things into courses, lessons, and topics. So courses are made up of lessons, lessons are made up of topics. So you can go 3 deep if you want to get that involved. I don't recommend it, especially since this should be a course that you're using to attract an initial audience, based on our marketing research. We have built some of these that go way deep. We have a client that we developed a 2-year Learn Magic program, and it literally goes on forever. And in that case, a 3-level hierarchy was really beneficial so that you can actually cover, everything and organize the content properly. That shouldn't be the case for us. Now, you can also add quizzes, and then there's other things. I don't really want to go there. So I'm going to go into the courses. And there's only one course on this site because that's all we've done so far. Now, when I click into the course, this is where you really get the benefits of LearnDash. LearnDash creates the hierarchy for you. And it shows it to you right here. So if I get to a course and I want to get to one of its subcomponents, I just click here. And you notice right now I'm at View Course. It became View Lesson. So in WordPress, there are different post types, one for each different type of thing, and that determines some of this information at the bottom that I'll go over in a moment. So let me go back to the course, and you'll see that down here, this is the configuration information that you can add for a course. And what I did was I modified this, just a little bit so that this is, actually it's by date, but you can also reorder any lessons. I put them in descending order, but this is the one thing I wanted to make sure I click. I'm disabling lesson progression, which means that I don't have to wait for lesson 1 to finish before I can see lesson 2. So I wanted to make sure that everything was opened up. It's just kind of a minor thing, but I wanted to point it out to you. So lesson 1 is now defined. And if I scroll down here, you have to tell it this lesson belongs to this course. And if you had 5 courses, you'd have to pick which one it went into. And then you've got, you know, other things. For example, you can keep lessons invisible for a certain period of time. I mean, there's some features in here. Sue.
So George, with Memberium, as long as you keep the same URL, you can have as many courses on it as you want.
Absolutely. That's kind of why I say keep the dashboard there, because that can be your facade that provides people access to, you know, a ton of courses. And using shortcodes in Memberium, you could get really cool and come up and say, if they bought this, I want to show them these other things because those are the natural upsells. Or if you're like a super user, then you get the whole, you know, access to see everything. It gives you a lot of power. You end up not using LearnDash features because there's a little bit of an overlap in that one area. I recommend using Memberium. It gives you a lot more control, and you can control everything from Infusionsoft. So let's so if I want to come up and add a lesson, I'm going to add, let's say, lesson 3, just to illustrate, and I'll hit publish. So I just created a lesson, but this lesson is kind of out in space, unconnected to anything. So I always have to make sure that I select a course here, and that's what attaches it to that course. Now, if I go over here as a customer, and I'll jump in here again as a student. Okay, so I do have to fix this, but I didn't have to do anything. It showed up in my navigation bar. And it also shows up down here in the navigation bar. So what I'll do is, let me go back to the configuration, if I could find the window. And I've got to go to the course, and let me make sure that I set that up. By the way, it gives me a little link here to go to the course. And so the order of the course is sort lessons by menu order. I think that's the right option. Okay, I'll fix that, and we'll make sure that these show up in the right order. But so yeah, as you add more and more courses, they stay in the right order.
You put it as ascending.
I'm sorry?
If you set it up as ascending or descending, it'll take the numbers.
Oh, it'll go in alphabetical order. You're right.
Yeah.
In which case, we just have to be careful, because if they weren't such cool ordered names like mine, it wouldn't work, right?
Yeah, that's something you got to take into account at the beginning to make sure that they do line up that way. Otherwise, it's a pain in the butt, especially if you got a lot of content. Yeah,
let me just check something really quick. If I go to lesson 1 here, do they have an order? Yeah, there's the order. I could probably order them here or adjust the dates. So I'll make sure that the ones that we have in here are ordered properly, and then that we don't have like craziness when we start rolling this out. So, I mean, at this point, I'll be honest with you, that's the extent of, you know, LearnDash and how it works. This is where you learn to use the architect, and you know, you probably want to come up and, you know, delete my videos and then, but just replace them with your own. It's actually that easy. So if I'm in lesson 1 and I wanted to modify the content, you know, it's all WYSIWYG, so it shows you exactly what's there. So if you wanted to change this, there's the URL. Now, I'll point something out. So I'm using YouTube here. The idea being that, I wasn't too concerned about this being protected, but I will tell you that in this course here, I'm using YouTube, and I actually use it to promote the course. So I don't mind people finding them. They'd have to kind of assemble the course, and they wouldn't have access to the, to the homeworks and to, the details that go with it. But I just make them only available to people who know the exact URL. So, if you guys want to share them with other people, believe me, I'm not going to lose much sleep over it. But if you were using Vimeo, then you could get very well protected by using some of the features that Vimeo makes available for you. But I did want to point out that if you go here and then you use the advanced here, you can keep it from showing the title. Hide related keeps it from displaying a bunch of videos at the very end. You know how when you get to the very end of a video, sometimes it shows you all your competitors, or it shows you other things that look similar. And you could hide the logo. I did that because I didn't want YouTube showing here, and that was just a link to this YouTube video in YouTube. The controls would keep people from being able to go forward and backwards. So you probably don't want to do that. So, there are a lot of nice features in this player, and it works really well regardless of the platform that you use. Elizabeth, turn on your mic.
Can I put up an MP3, or does it have to be converted to YouTube or Vimeo?
You can do an MP3.
Not an MP3. I'm sorry, like an MP, a movie.
It will support a movie, but I've seen people that use movies, and not all devices will play that. Like my iPhone won't do a MOV.
I'll have to see what I have it. I think I put it in. I put it in my. I put them through my iTunes account, so I'll have to go see.
Well, your iTunes. So it is just a sound file then, right?
I can even find it. I can.
So these are audio files, right?
No, I meant to say no. They're not. They're videos.
Okay, so if they're MOVs, if you throw them into Vimeo or YouTube, YouTube will take care of doing the conversion for you.
Yeah. They're MP4s.
Oh, okay. MP4s work wherever, but in any case, that's your format. You're going to want to host them, on a service. YouTube is the free one if that one is an option for you, and then
why do I want to host them on a service? Why can't I just upload an MP4 into my site, my membership site?
Usually the size is going to be the problem, but a bigger problem is web hosting servers are not designed to stream video well. Okay. Where YouTube, Vimeo, Wistia are all designed for fast delivery of videos.
So I upload it to YouTube and make it, what is it, private, secret, whatever one of those are?
Yeah, don't go overly private, because then it won't even allow the site to see it. But you want to make it so that it's private so people can't search it.
Got it.
And then it's unlisted.
Yeah,
unlisted. Okay, got it.
And again, I'll be honest with you. I wish we could all be so lucky that people want to pilfer our content, that they would be like searching out our stuff and wanting to steal it. I usually tell people, believe me, if your content was that good, you probably would be rich already. So, but yeah, don't put that on your web server. You'll hurt performance, and it just won't perform well. So hey, with that, that's what I wanted to cover today. So this is the course. We'll get it onto your environment. Once you start playing around with this, a couple of you aren't that technical, but those of you that are, this is actually pretty straightforward to take on and build. I wanted the course content to be then the challenge. that you have to work with. Yes.
So does this mess up? I mean, I have a WordPress site that's pretty big with 50, 100 pages kind of thing. The people that you're having putting this in, it's not like they're messing with my pages. They're putting a whole other.
This is a second site that's all by itself. That's why up here at the top, like I'll go to the other one.
So it's a site within my site.
It's not even within, it's actually kind of sitting on the side.
Okay, so it doesn't mess with my website, even though it's coming from my website.
No, God forbid. No, it doesn't
Okay,
touch
great.
anything on your site. But I mean, here's what we typically recommend. So I'm going to log out of this one. And that's why I have the main site button. So this takes you back to the other one. For anybody that arrives here and was thinking, oh, I want to go to the other one, I didn't really want to log in. And then on your live site, you should have a member login button, assuming they're related sites, and then they click there to land here, and then they log in.
Great. Okay, got it.
I've only had like one customer that had a really good reason for making their membership site a part of their main site. And actually, John, you're one of those guys, because he's got a magazine, and he gives people partial access, and then he opens up content as people buy more stuff. But it does create challenges, because when you want to add more content, then you have to figure out, how do I do this? Not technically, but how do I create a design that's usable?
Yeah.
I have a lot of questions. I'm going to ask them on the Facebook page because there's too many. But so there's available, at least sort of like that, my free course on my membership site. Like if I say, and there's like a free course that I want people to have, then correct?
You should definitely make it available, especially if it's a lead magnet type product or a tripwire for your main product. So
but I put it on my membership site.
Put it on your membership site, and then that way you have it right next to your site, which I think would be valuable. By the way, something else I am going to show, I didn't want to make this week 5 course about Infusionsoft, because not everybody's using Infusionsoft. We have Active Campaign. I know, Elizabeth, you're going to rely on LearnDash, so I didn't want to make that about this, but let me point out how I've done protection on this site. So here I have someone who has access to this course, but let's assume they didn't. Let's say there were 2 courses and I saw this, I always give them access to the course. I allow them to come in here. The information you put in an overview page should really be overview. It shouldn't be content that you're giving away for free, right? I send them to the protection page when they hit the lesson. Now, the lesson here in this site has a redirect to a page that says you don't have access. So you allow people to sample, you allow people to see the structure of your course, they can see the outline, but if they ever want to dig in deeper, you keep them out.
Wouldn't that just be like having a courses overview page on your main website?
Kind of. But keep in mind, right now we're seeing a site with one membership site, with one course. But if you had 4 or 5 of these and one was accessible and 3 were not, people aren't likely going to go to the www site for it. Now, you could have that redirect, like I'm redirecting this to just an internal page that says you don't have access. But I can redirect each page custom to the sales page on my www site. And as a matter of fact, that's what we often do. In a lot of cases, now 2 things to keep in mind. When you're selling something off of your www site, the context is different because they don't know all about you yet. But if I've been in your membership site, I've gotten to know you, my trust, I don't have to introduce myself and build credibility. I just have to explain what the heck it is that I'm selling them now. So it could be that it's a second sales page, just maybe a little bit cut back. Jamie, you had a question?
I just had a question about overall security. I'm not sure if it's relevant to the scope of the course, but I noticed the I on your website as opposed to the lock.
Yeah, I don't have an SSL certificate. This is just a sample site.
Okay. Do you suggest getting one? And
all sites today should have certificates.
that's what I thought. I just wanted to make sure. Thanks. That was it.
Yeah, and by the way, like WordPress is, WP Engine is more expensive, but they give you free SSL certificates. So some
How
of
much are they normally?
Oh, I paid as much as $75 for an SSL for a year. So features like that are kind of handy. But nowadays you have to have certificates on stuff. I've had people call me. Matter of fact, it happened in this one where because of the way I switched servers, the SSL certificate didn't come through. And for a couple days, my membership site wasn't giving me the lock. I think, Elizabeth, you were the one that pointed that out. And it's like, oops. We had changed servers and we didn't bring over the SSL. So if I do need to go back, my last slide here is actually pretty kind of dumb. And it's actually not even right yet. So how do I assemble? Next week is the final installment is how do I go about launching it? And I'm actually trying to recruit one of my, a guest speaker who's going to talk about, okay, how do we market this? Because keep in mind, we've got a course that we've done some marketing research on. So we have a course that we can sell, but maybe not yet to cold traffic because we've got to do some refinement. So what I want to do is explain what you have, what you've got a level of proof for, and then what are the other extensions? How do you really, throttle this? Using a lot of the other common methods that, everything sales funnels, video webinars, because that's really where, things can get, that's really where you start getting the volumes. Make sense, everybody? Cool. So, well, if we don't have any more questions, that's it for this week.
Okay. Thanks, George.
Okay.
Yeah, okay.
Have a good one, everybody.
Have a great week. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you, George.